Hey, you're listening to No Limits, a PlayStation podcast, episode 51. And is Satya Nadella a beautiful Mr. Clean? Where's the intro? There it is. Hello, everyone. You're listening to No Limits, a PlayStation podcast. I'm joined by my co-hosts, Brianna and Sam. Remember, you can find the video version of this pod over on youtube.com/SaveTheGameMedia every Tuesday. And while you're over there, make sure to subscribe to the channel. If you'd rather listen to audio, we are on all your favorite podcast services, and we would love it if you'd leave us a review. It helps us grow, and we would love any feedback. If you want to support us and get early access to all Save the Game Media content, head over to patreon.com/SaveTheGameMedia and choose the tier that's right for you, just like our current patrons did. Bucky Blue, Amon, Fabulous Brianna, Brianna's mom, Brianna's brother, Brianna's wife, Nikolai Knight, Cypher Primus, Brendan Myers, Marcus O'Neill, Lillian, Mimi J, The Snack Network, David Hotwright, Dave Harp, the Xbox Expansion Pass, and Alpaca Tom. Again, so please go over to our Patreon and check all that out. And our Twitter at SaveGameMedia, and interact with us in the Discord. Links are all in the show notes. I don't know if I mentioned it after I hit the intro. Or this is episode 51. Yeah. How are we doing, guys?
Yeah, all right. Extremely tired and busy as always. But I'm nearing the finish line. I can see the light at the end of the tunnel, and it's beckoning me. My Final Fantasy 16 coverage. I'm getting very, very close to having all of my current commitments on it fulfilled. So, yeah, I'm doing okay. I'm excited to have potentially a minor break before I'm shoveled onto something else, no doubt.
What does a minor break entail? Is it 1 week? Is it 2 weeks?
I would hope at least a week. But it's quite quiet in video games right now in terms of like new big releases that need coverage that don't already have people assigned. So unless somebody can't commit to something that they're currently allocated for and they need help, I might have a longer break. I don't know. I'm just going to wait. I'm not going to reach out to them because that sort of invites them to then be like, well, actually, we do have this thing that could need doing. So if they need me, they know where to find me, but I'm not going to seek anything out for a good while.
What games are coming out in July besides Pikmin 4 or August? Oh, well, there's Armored Core 6. Okay.
Oh, no.
You might get put on Armored Core 6, Sam.
I feel like that would be one of the games that's already been assigned. Because there would have been a lot of interest expressed from other people.
Upcoming game releases.
Oxenfree 2 is coming out.
What is?
Oxenfree 2 and Viewfinder are both coming out.
I thought there were some big indies in that. Yeah, okay, that makes sense.
I don't know that either of those would equate to a IGN guide for them. I could be wrong. Even though they're on the bigger side of indie, I don't know that they're.
I need to play Oxenfree. So there's Synapse on July 4th. Okay, that's interesting. Legend of Heroes Trails into Reverie. Oh, check out our review by Kevin over Project X Talk. It's on the No Limits feed. That came out on Friday, June 30th. Oxenfree 2, Exoprimal. Oh, God. Might and Magic. Remnant 2, meh. Double Dragon Gaiden. That should be a fun one. Yeah, August and September. I don't know. September gets.
Yeah, September is where it gets crazy. Again.
Mortal Kombat 1, Cyberpunk DLC, Payday 3, Baldur's Gate 3.
Starfield.
Oh, right. Why isn't that in IGN's list? Oh, because it's a PlayStation article. Okay. Forza's in October. Alan Wake 2, Spider-Man 2.
Yep.
Assassin's Creed Mirage. Oh, Metal Gear Solid Master Collection. Disgaea 7. Kevin, you can have fun with that one. Man.
Aren't we just in the best year of games ever?
I think it might be the best year of games in a long time.
I'm just slamming my hands down and saying ever to get a mainline Final Fantasy, Diablo, Pikmin, a good
Zelda.
Star Wars game, a Zelda game, a Spider-Man game, Bethesda's next big RPG, a mainline Forza. It's absurd, and like they're all of such a high quality as well. It's
I need to see Spider-Man. Ford League's theaters.
Yeah, you do. It's freaking so good.
Stop saying that. Yeah, it probably is.
And there's also 2 versions.
Oh, they're showing on July 4th. I'll watch it July 4th.
there you go.
Wait,
I'm going to the movies on July 4th as well.
what do you mean 2 versions?
There's at least 2 versions of Spider-Verse.
I don't understand.
The way she's phrasing it makes it seem like it's a bigger deal than it is.
It's not a big deal.
There's
No,
just
it's a
like
big deal. Tell
very,
me.
very, very minor variations
Is
in
it-
certain scenes. Nothing like plot-wise. It's just like this character does a slightly different movement. Rather, like the example that's going around on the internet is the AI that works for Spider-Man 2099. Like in one version, she is like chastising him whilst taking a selfie, and in the other version, she's just pointing at him whilst chastising him. So it's like it's not a big deal whatsoever. I don't know why they did it, other than just to spice it up a little bit.
I saw the teaser. I guess spoilers for Spider-Verse. Into the Spider-Verse. At the end of Into the Spider-Verse, after credits, I saw Miguel. And it seems like you just confirmed my suspicions were right. 2099 is in across.
Yeah.
Spider-Verse.
I've tried so hard to not simp.
If you've seen like any of the trailers,
no,
all of them. So
I'll see it.
Yeah,
I'll see it on July 4th.
No, I'm gonna contain myself. I'm not
it
gonna
an
simp.
IMAX? I just really need to see it on a screen, on a large screen.
It's so
really
good.
only.
if
Might
you
see
can
it.
get a big screen, do it.
I'll get a big screen, but Oppenheimer, I'll probably make a special trip for IMAX.
Mm-hmm.
I want Christopher Nolan to blow out my eardrums.
Yep.
And then I won't hear what the characters are saying. Thanks, Tenet.
Have either of you guys watched Asteroid City yet?
No.
Is that no? What is that? Is it a
That's the
movie?
new-
Wes Anderson.
What is it? Astro. It's got Wes
It's
Anderson.
got a really big cast in it. I'm thinking
As
about going.
most Andersons do.
They cast as
I've
in
never
like
seen any.
prolific.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
Johansson, Maya Hawke, Jason Schwartzman.
Yeah.
I think Jason Schwartzman is Jewish. All right. As a Jewish man, I am gunning towards Jason Schwartzman that he's also Jewish.
I'm pretty
Schwartzman?
confident he is.
Yeah. My man. Anyway, Margot Robbie, Tom Hanks. Is it Robbie or Robbie?
I think it's Robbie.
I mean, I say Robbie, but I think it's a potato thing.
Brian Cranston.
Not quite
Edward
sure that's
Norman.
quite- Yeah. Okay, we're getting further and further away from the truth there.
Steve Carell is in.
Steve
Oh,
Carousel.
I don't know.
Doesn't Matt Dillon look a little bit like Bruce Campbell in his old
I
age?
don't know who either of those people are.
Yeah, I see where you're coming from.
Bree, have you seen Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man?
I don't think so.
Come on. Have you seen Sky High?
Yeah, I have seen Sky High.
You know the gym teacher in Sky High?
Yeah.
Boomer? He's played by Bruce Campbell.
Oh, okay.
That guy. His most prolific role, might I add. Let's just ignore Evil Dead.
I hate that was the reference that I understood.
I just figured you would know that film. Technically correct.
I did that. That's funny.
I remember watching Sky High on my iPod Classic in 2005. I thought it was the coolest kit ever because I was watching a movie on an iPod.
That is pretty cool.
Also, if you notice behind me, this wrong arm, this
What are you
this way.
trying to point at? Trying to point at your crochet, the amigurumi?
This
Yeah. Uh-huh.
this thing.
Oh my god.
This thing right there.
Nightmare.
That's Bobby from Extra Life with Carpool Gaming.
And
Miles, Marcus O'Neill's. We did that charity last year for Miles O'Neill, and his father, Marcus O'Neill, is part of the community, and his wife crocheted people who came by hand these little Bobby mascots. It's the mascot of Carpool Gaming, and it was really special. And I just got it in the mail like a week ago from Sean Capri. So thank you, Sean. That'll be there indefinitely.
that's so cute. Also, congrats on your new chair.
Thanks.
How is it?
It is all right. I guess I probably should have still spent more. I found this for a deal, and it was $160 used. Someone who's moving out their apartment.
Oh, that's not too bad.
I picked it up. I think it's an okay chair, but the chair at work I like, and I just realized recently what kind of chair it is. At work, they give us steel case leaps.
Mm-hmm.
I think I like that chair a lot. So at some point, I'll probably still replace this chair for that chair, but this is a good interim chair.
Yeah, for sure.
Probably when if I move from, I don't know. I'll worry about it after. Right now, I need to save for Extra Life. So I have to put Xbox Series X purchases on hold because I'm stupid and still want to purchase that console.
We talked about this last week, Taylor.
Yeah, I know.
Come on.
I just still want it. I just want it. I could get a Series S for $200, but I want the cool one.
Okay.
I want the big boy one.
Okay.
But I did get, I'm gonna rub it in Kevin's face. I have a friend who's a former Microsoft employee, and through Microsoft's their employee alumni program, you can get Game Pass Ultimate 12-month code for half off. So before tax, I got Game Pass Ultimate for a year's supply for $90 US.
Nice.
This is how I validate myself by saying I got this on sale. Everyone else didn't sucks.
Okay. Okay. Cool. So you're better than everybody.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
I see. Okay. Okay. Yeah.
I
That
mean,
makes perfect sense.
I just extended it out a year to the end of 2024, and at least until then, it's worth it for me because I'm definitely going to play Starfield. I'm definitely playing Forza. I'm definitely playing Avowed. I'm definitely playing Hellblade 2. So that already exceeds the $100 commitment if I were to buy just 2 of those games individually.
Mm-hmm.
So it ends up being okay. Now, past the end of 2024, I don't know. See what Microsoft has up their sleeve for 2025, and I'll cross that bridge when E3 time comes around next year.
Okay.
But yeah, I'm excited for what they have in store. I mean, Spencer's name starts with P. And
I don't know what you're correlating that to.
Have you guys seen that thing where it's like, oh, it's Steven with a PH, and so they said Steven? That's like one of my favorite jokes of all time.
Why is that a joke?
Because it's like instead of Steven with a V, it's Steven with a PH, but then they just started the name Steven with a PH instead of putting it in the middle. You get it?
No.
It's okay. Steven.
Sam, do you get it?
He does. I can see it in his face.
Yeah, I do. I'm just struggling to find the joke part of it.
Okay.
You know.
So what have you been playing?
Final Fantasy 16, obviously.
I wasn't asking you.
Well, I mean,
Whoa.
I was talking to Toph when I said that, not you, Sam.
Damn.
Right, Toph?
What is Toph playing?
Toph's
Well,
not even there.
Toph's not here.
Yes, I rolled credits on Final Fantasy 16 a couple of days ago.
Wow.
I said I wasn't going to do this, but I am.
Flattening
I'm
it.
over halfway through my second playthrough now.
What the hell? How are you gunning
I
through it that
have-
quickly?
Because I am skipping cutscenes, which I said I wasn't going to do.
Mhm.
I do
But
press
I
X
realized-
when NPCs talk and it's in an in-engine conversation. Once I read it, I just press X.
That's okay, I think.
Yeah.
That's okay. Particularly when you can tell like that it's a relatively bog standard conversation. When it's actually like an emotional beat, I let it play out. But yeah, I'm skipping basically everything. Mainly just because, not that I didn't want to experience the story again, because I do, but I think that because I'm deciding to go through it a second time immediately after finishing it, I kind of just want to beeline it, get everything done as quick as possible because I'm working towards the platinum. So in like a year's time, I'll go back and do a proper full-on, just enjoy everything as it is playthrough, but I'm just speed running it, so to speak, now. So
Is there an achievement for that? Like, what are you gunning for? Is there an achievement you're trying to get through?
yeah, well, I mean, to get the platinum, I'm only 2 trophies away. One trophy is to max level every single ability of every single icon, which you just categorically won't be able to do in one playthrough.
Complete mastery of every single ability.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, technically you can, because you can grind out enemies in the open zones, but that would take a long time. And then the other trophy is to complete the game on like the New Game Plus. It's called Final Fantasy Mode, but it's New Game Plus. So, you know, I'm sort of simultaneously working towards both anyway. So soon it shall be mine.
Awesome.
But I mean, to clarify, Final Fantasy Mode, the New Game Plus, it's not I'm just playing. Well, technically, I am playing the exact same game again, but they do change it up. You have new weapons, and pretty much every single enemy encounter, both in and out of missions, consists of different enemy types. So, like very early on, when you would normally in the first playthrough be just fighting random basic dudes with swords, you have like hulking monstrosity demon type things from later in the game. So it keeps you on your toes a bit more, which is nice that it's not literally just retreading the exact same ground again. So yeah. And I said the other week that it's in contention to be one of my favorite games of all time. And it is one of my favorites of all time. It's not my favorite because technically there are things I can nitpick, whereas the other games on my list I think are perfect. But it's amongst them. I think it's a very special game. So that's all I'm playing. That's a lie. That's a lie. Bree asked me about it. I didn't reply to the Discord message. I also played a very nice little indie game called Carto.
Oh, Cardo.
Yeah.
Is that where you take pictures?
No, that's...
Wait, whoops.
Toem?
That's Toem.
Yeah, Carto. It was part of the latest batch of stuff for PS Plus.
Oh, God.
It's like a puzzle solver adventure game where you get to break off sections of the in-game map and like reorient them and connect them together to create brand new. Yeah, exactly. And you solve puzzles that way. Really good. Really good. I think if you sort of look up a trailer or any sort of a snippet of gameplay and it appeals to you, I would highly recommend playing it.
I would also like to point out that you did play Paw Patrol, which I think deserves.
I did.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
You got the
hour and a half platinum, guys. Super easy. Yeah. Oh yeah. Hour and a half.
Kyle from the trophy room does this.
Easy peasy.
He says what he gets. He calls them, I think, junk food platinums.
Exactly. Yeah. Just turn your brain off. You don't have to pre-plan. There's nothing you can miss. It's like a Telltale game. You finish a Telltale game and you get the platinum. It's easy.
All right. Awesome.
Yeah.
Bree,
I have been playing Final Fantasy exclusively.
Which one?
16.
Oh,
I really, really want to play 14 though. That's all that's happening when I play 16 is
then
like,
just play 14 and drop the game,
man,
and then
I want to play
don't finish it.
14. No, I'm not gonna do that. You
Yeah,
guys
you
would kill
are.
me.
We're gonna do it.
No. But I do really love 16. I'm having a lot of fun. One of the things that I really enjoy about this game, which is a very unique thing, is that because there's like so many cutscenes, I can literally crochet during dialogue and during cutscenes, which like I have for years wanted to play. I'm like, I want to play games, but I also want to crochet. And you can't do those two things at the same time.
I
This
feel
game is a unique experience that you can do both at the same time. And I am living my best life. I am loving
great.
it so much.
I feel a similar way about eating food. I wish I could eat food and play games.
Oh, I do that
But
all the time.
Final Fantasy 16 feels like I can. Like, but I prefer. I don't like pause. I mean, my hang up about it is I don't like having to pause the game to eat. I'd rather like.
Pro tip, you ready? You need sushi. Because then you just eat one single piece of sushi. And then you
Yeah.
keep playing.
Well, this week I made burgers, so I can't just do that. All right, I'm not making sushi burgers.
Okay. I really want to try sushi pizza. It always looks so good.
Sushi pizza. What?
Mhm.
What are the components?
It's
Is it
just like
pizza?
rice, nori, sushi,
Oh, so they still have rice.
or I guess
Okay.
like salmon and stuff like that. Yeah. It just they like make it they just make it look like a little
Oh,
slice.
okay. I thought you meant the other way.
No.
Shaped like sushi, but with the components of a pizza.
No, yeah.
Yeah, I want to try sushi pizza.
I can't believe there's no sushi burritos here either. That's like the one that really gets me.
Just make it. Just do it.
No. Sushi burrito is too specific.
Okay. I've also been playing Kofef 16, and I haven't played much of it because work.
Did I just have a seizure?
Off.
think
Did
you
you just
did.
have a seizure? I think
I
you
watched you have a seizure, yeah.
Kofef?
did. Kofef 16.
Am I missing something? Is it what?
You don't remember Kofef? The Trump tweet where he misspelled coffee?
No. You say that is ringing, but I'm still not sure what the correlation is here. What?
FF is Final Fantasy.
Oh, I'm with you. That's actually quite clever. Well done.
Thanks. My mom told me that. I'm just kidding. It's good. Yeah, Final Fantasy 16. It's really solid so far. I do have one complaint, and it's a really big pet peeve of mine. Unfortunately, I think it is present in this game. Guys, these side quests are trash.
I so strongly disagree. I so strongly disagree.
Okay, the ones I've had so far are trash.
You have to get past like a certain point. Like there's like some like
I'm still really early.
they ramp up the side quests. Like the side quests I did last night were like completely like so effed up. Like
In a good way.
was
Like you
really
were engaged,
upset.
but you were engaged, but like the contents of the side quest are like,
We're
oh
just
boy.
yeah. It was oh boy, but
I
in a
think-
bad way.
I'm with you, Taylor, in the fact that they start off relatively poor, only in the fact that they're super basic. Like it's not that they are not that the context surrounding the side quest is bad, because like the reasoning that you are just going to a place, fetching it and bringing it back, it's compelling enough, like narratively speaking, but it is very just functional. The story kind of starts on like an 8 or a 9, and I would say by the end of it ratcheted up to like a 13 or a 14 or a 15 or a 16, some might say. Whereas I think the side quests start at like a 2 and then work their way up to around that 8 or 9 level. As someone who's finished it, like I've done every side quest, I can say with confidence that I would not that it's an excuse, but from maybe like 50% of the way through the game onwards, they start getting very good.
That is too
I don't
late.
I think I'm 50% of the way through the game, am I?
Well, the percentage is deceiving, right? That's that the game shows you of completion.
On the tracker, yeah.
Yeah. Whoops, my monitor just. Okay, it's back.
We didn't lose you, don't worry.
Thanks.
Okay.
What?
Well, I like the side quests where I am, so I don't know.
And that's fine. That's your prerogative.
Not okay.
You know. I don't hate them. I just don't think that they start out very strong in comparison to what the mainline quests are throughout. Okay. So, not that I'm expecting them to be as good as the main story, obviously, because they're side quests for a reason.
Bree, don't look it up. You might spoil yourself, please.
I'll be fine.
No, you won't.
Yes, I will.
Mm.
I've done this so many times. Don't even worry
Playing
about
with
it.
fire.
That's what everyone says before they do a hard drug.
Yeah, but if and this isn't
I'm almost halfway.
I'm not spoiling anything necessarily, because I'm just using it as a comparison of where you might place the quality of the side quests. If you think of like the loyalty missions from any Mass Effect, you know what I'm about, Taylor, there, right?
I've not played Mass Effect Sim.
God damn it!
Okay. It's on my list. It's on my list.
Let's think of another. Well, okay, no, you can still get the gist. There are side quests in every Mass Effect where, for each individual member of your squad, you go and do something that is very personal and important to them, and doing it, you get specific, unique benefits from that character going forward. It isn't a one-to-one here in Final Fantasy, but I would say in terms of like the importance to that character's arc and development, I would say that it's on par. So you just got to power through some of them and not any of the early side quests to get to the good stuff.
Okay. Should I still? Is it even worth doing the early side quests, or is there some? I know Kevin, I think, talked about recently on X Talk. There are side quests that will have an exclamation point.
That's very deceiving.
Very deceiving.
There are some side quests that have like a plus symbol on them, and early game that suggests that they are not necessarily more important, but that you get something unique or specific from it. That stops being the case pretty quickly, and there are some quests that are just basically with the exclamation mark like every other quest, and those end up being super important. I would say, because there aren't an inconceivable number of side quests, do them as they appear. Not spoilers, but there are potentially certain points in the narrative where certain side quests might become unavailable to do. So,
oh no,
I think just as you go, they tend to complement your place in the narrative very well as they appear. So, if you're that way inclined, I would do them if you're interested in doing them at all. So, do them as they show up. My advice.
Yeah. Okay. I'm really early. Stop. No, Toph, don't eat my phone case. Thanks. Ow. Where I am in the game, without spoilers, I'm trying to find a hooded dominant.
Yes.
Isn't that right?
That is right. That is what you're doing.
Thanks, Toph. Yep.
Where are you, Bree? Do you know the
You can shoot a DM if it's spoilery.
I sent it to you already, Sam.
Oh, okay.
Wow.
Another message I didn't reply to. Let's see. Okay. Okay.
Oh, Benedicta.
I know you like her.
God damn. Yeah.
She is basically Catwoman with hair.
What?
Well, Catwoman has hair. She's basically a blonde Catwoman, but uses magic instead of her claws. Her nails. You get what I mean. Oh wait, and looks. I can't say what I was gonna say. Spoilies.
Okay. We're all gonna have a spoiler discussion.
Okay. Oh well, there was a cutscene where she was stepping on someone, and I'm like, is this guy liking this? But then she kills him, and I'm like, oh no, I don't think he was liking it.
I'd say you're just over a third, Bree, roughly.
Okay.
Wow.
Because in list of quest, it's
How many
like
hours in?
22 out of 49.
Because the game
I
doesn't
have
have
no
an
idea.
the game doesn't have an hour counter, which bugs me. You just have to rely
I
on
don't
your
know.
PlayStation playtime, which is deceiving because my playtime says 1 hour, but I played the demo for like 3 hours and I transferred that save data. Well, the icon challenge didn't transfer, but Clive's origin story, which is about 2 hours, did transfer. So it's really like I have at least 3 hours of playtime already.
No idea. It's not on the PlayStation app, and I'm not going to turn on
Oh.
my PlayStation.
I'm also trying to get better at combos. I really want to learn how to chain moves together well, and I unlocked arcade mode, and it looks like the game has systems in place for you to dish out combos with a myriad of hits, but I haven't quite learned how to dish together 5 hits or more than 5 hits that aren't R1, 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 R2. And then it finishes a combo. If I try to switch to an X enemy, it restarts a combo even before I finish it. So I'm trying to figure out how to link them. I've started using Phoenix. What is it called? Flash? The one where you move through air to the locked on enemy.
Yeah.
But it doesn't seem like I've quite been able to extend it that way. So I'm still trying to figure that out.
You'll get
just
there.
Getting big combos. Yeah. I do like
once you get further in the story, you'll start realizing where the potential comes from.
Okay, thanks. I mean, sending enemies into the air, I already see that opportunity. Torgal or Rising Phoenix. Torgal can throw enemies into the air. Rising Phoenix, well, X doesn't quite do that, but with Torgal's toss, can use that as some momentum, or not momentum, as a starter to get in some aerial attacks, jump towards the enemy while they're in the air. But yeah, so only have one icon, but working towards more. And I'm having fun. It feels like this game feels much more like a. I don't like saying this, but this is how I would describe it. Final Fantasy 16 feels like an expanded PlayStation exclusive game for almost like a first party PlayStation exclusive game, like a Horizon, like a Ghost.
Yep.
Like not quite Spider-Man, but no, an open world. Not open world. It really just feels like an expanded PlayStation exclusive game in its direction. Very cinematic, emphasis on narrative, very pretty. Yeah.
Now they just need to buy Square Enix, you know?
Yeah, we'll get to that. They were on Microsoft's list.
Not a chance.
I mean, at this point, we might be. They listed like everybody.
They could. Hey, if Microsoft wants to acquire me, it's all right.
Shill.
It's all right. I'll take it.
Are you gonna twerk for them, Taylor?
What? No.
Why?
I don't have a dumpy. Yeah.
It doesn't matter. You can twerk. It doesn't matter how big your butt is, Taylor. You can still twerk.
Well, SpongeBob's. You saw a SpongeBob episode where it's like 2 blocks.
Mm-hmm.
His pants literally separate into 2 solid blocks.
Mm-hmm.
I don't like where you're going with this.
Sam loves when we talk about twerking.
Maybe similar to when David Hasselhoff launches SpongeBob from his pecs.
I did think that part was very funny. I love that movie.
Yeah. Have you seen the SpongeBob movie, Sam? David Hasselhoff?
I most certainly have, yes.
Yeah.
I like the episode, the part where Patrick gets in fishnets.
You're a goofy goober.
You're the Goofy Goober song. Is Patrick Star a trans icon?
What is happening?
I wouldn't say trans icon. I think that might
not trans.
No, because I don't think it would be drag.
I think Patrick is non-binary.
I'm pretty sure Let's Google this.
Starfish are
agender.
Yeah. So sort of, I guess. I don't know if it's canon though, you know.
Mm-hmm. Well, SpongeBob got an expansion in Car Washing Simulator where you can paint I forget what it's called.
He's male.
Oh, okay. Where you can paint the what Mermaid Man and Barnacle
And
Boy
Barnacle
drive.
Boy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
what's the thing they drive called?
Oh, the boat. No, boatmobile.
A something mobile.
I'm pretty sure it's boatmobile. Mermaid Man car. Invisible boatmobile.
The Invisible Boatmobile. There's a
It's a
feature in that
pink
expansion
Cadillac
I
Series
saw.
62.
Oh, I saw in the trailer for it where you can paint it invisible, like it is in the show. Like it being dirty, is it being visible? And in the expansion, you wash it so it turns invisible again.
That's
And
pretty good.
I thought it was funny. I need to
You
play
should-
Battle for Bikini Bottom too.
You should play Lights, Camera, Pants.
I remember that game.
Do you
Anyway,
have that one platinum?
Toph, stop it. Anyway,
No
I also have a
comment.
PS3 in my possession that I've been meaning to set up. May or may not be playing classic Killzone Resistance games in the next couple weeks.
Hell yeah.
Or no, I need to play Final Fantasy. Whoops,
Yeah, you
sorry
do.
guys.
All right, we should get to the news because this is going to be a nightmare.
Oh yeah. Okay, so this past week, Microsoft and FTC have been duking it out in Washington, D.C. in court over the Activision Blizzard acquisition, Activision-Blizzard-King. There's a ton of stuff that's been happening over the past week since we last recorded. And they basically had the rest
really
of their...
quick, before you get started, can you link why we're on a PlayStation show talking about a Microsoft ruling?
Yeah, that's a good point. Well, it may or may not influence the role of Activision Blizzard-King games and their presence on the PlayStation platform. It's also the largest gaming acquisition in the history of the industry. So it inadvertently affects everyone.
So we're talking about it for a reason. That's all.
And also Jim Ryan and other Sony executives have depositions and appearances and quotes that appear in this case that give insight into PlayStation's corporate strategy in addition to Microsoft's. So there's also extra factoids in there that are interesting to look at that would never have otherwise been publicly accessible, including some tidbits that were supposed to be redacted or incorrectly or were redacted with a Sharpie. And when they scanned them and showed them up in court, you could see through the Sharpie. So there were unintentionally visible pieces on sensitive documents that are now public knowledge. And it's fully...
That happened several times.
Yeah, and it's fully illegal to view these, by the way. It's not like as the public, there is no retaliation for seeing the unredacted documents because that was the fault of the people preparing them for exhibits to show in court. But yeah, there's a lot of stuff here. And I thought it was best to organize this going day by day in the courtroom, starting from June 26th. We were last recorded on June 24th. And that was a Saturday. June 26th was a Monday. So, yeah, I guess. You guys okay if we just take turns going through each of these subletters? Like,
Sure
I take
thing.
B, someone takes C, someone takes D, comes back to me for E, etc.
Who wants to? Never mind.
Oh, yeah. I could do the first one.
I'll take D.
D's.
There we go.
Okay. This is all of this, by the way, comes from Tom Warren's and also other employees or journalists from The Verge coverage. So big thanks to The Verge for tracking all this info, and we'll be heavily relying on their coverage for comment. So June 26th, 2023. That was the Monday on the last week of this in court. There were internal documents that were showed in court, internal emails of Microsoft It showed they were looking to acquire both Bungie or I should say looking to acquire it. Well, yeah, I can say that. They were interested in possibly acquiring Bungie and Sega to boost Game Pass. Microsoft CEO Satya Nadella and the CFO Microsoft Amy Hood wanted to go over a strategy approval to approach Sega over a potential acquisition of its studios. Quote, "We believe that Sega has built a well-balanced portfolio of games across segments with global appeal and will help us accelerate Xbox Game Pass both on and off the console." That's what Phil Spencer said in November 2020. Sega's since come out saying they aren't interested currently in being acquired. And obviously, this is from November 2020. As many listeners may already know, Sony acquired Bungie in, February of this year? 2023? Or was it last year? Sony acquired Bungie
last year.
May 2023, sorry. Sorry, 2022. Yeah. Cannot do years. So that email came out a bit after the fact, but still, I don't think that was any surprise to me personally. There's been a lot of Sega games showing up on Game Pass, especially Yakuza. We now have Persona, and it just doesn't surprise me. Also, Bungie, their storied history with the initial Halo games, Microsoft bringing them back in-house. Nothing surprising for me there. You guys?
No. I feel like Sonic being Microsoft would be kind of weird, but
yeah. I mean, there's also Banjo became Microsoft, which is a little odd too, to be fair, and it's owned by Rare.
Mm-hmm.
In terms of, I guess, classic platformer mascots, right? I guess
think
outside
that Sonic is a little bit bigger than that.
Yes,
so.
Definitely. Sonic is bigger. But yeah. Also, Microsoft had a document that had a list of developers. Microsoft was also more developers they were watching for acquisition. And this was from 2021. And that list included, amongst others, Moon Studios. Those are the people who created Ori and the Blind Forest. Team Cherry, developers of Hollow Knight. Proletariat and Hello Games, developers of No Man's Sky and Joe Danger, right, amongst other devs on the list. So, yeah, it's not like they were about to acquire them, but they were on the lookout for them. Moon Studios, I think, was the most unsurprising, but I think they had some falling out recently, either within the company Moon Studios or in their relations to Microsoft regarding crunch, and they've turned away. There's been a sour business relationship between Microsoft and Moon Studios, if I recall correctly.
Mm.
But yeah, more ones to acquire there. There was also a quote that showed up later where Matt Booty, the Booty of Xbox, from Xbox Game Studios, he was encouraging CFO Tim Stewart to spend a lot of money on acquiring game content in 2019. And he was, quote, ready to go spend Sony out of business to help strengthen Xbox. And yeah, seemed like he was pretty adamant about that. As we can see now, I don't think it was quite that simple.
No. I mean, I'm sure they were under no delusions that it was ever going to be that simple, but I think the sentiment still remains there, as much as they might not necessarily ever confirm that is what this ABK deal is about. It's another rung on the ladder towards that kind of reality. And some people are spinning it as like, I mean, I think it's a very bad thing to say, even in a private environment, but it's like an open secret that they're both corporations that want to win, and by winning by proxy, you are therefore realistically trying to crush the opposition as much as possible.
But I don't know, for me, like, it becomes much more like the whole like acquisitions, making games exclusive, stuff like that, I think that that's like a lot less malicious than like literally saying, well, we just have more money, so we're just gonna like spend you out of business. Because
Oh, it
then
is.
that's not even like a fair competition, right? Like,
No, that does not. That does the optics on Microsoft from that email are not good. That's a point for the FTC to have that email visible. I still think you can make the argument if you're Microsoft. That was an internal email, and sometimes when you're talking amongst your employees, you could be hyperbolic relative to your actual stance on a matter when you're facing other personnel. But then you could also switch it again, saying, well, you're still probably the most honest when you're talking to your internal employees. So you might so this is still telling.
well,
I think overall it's just not a good look for Mr. Booty. Booty.
but the thing is like personally, I feel like this whole like, well, we're just gonna spend them out of business explains a lot of like what Microsoft has been doing, like the
I
way that they're allowing things to be run, things to be released, things to happen. It like this kind of helps align for me like the narrative of what is happening at Xbox.
I don't know if I agree with that because I believe Matt Booty's role at Microsoft is
Head of Xbox Game Studios, isn't it?
oh, I thought it was head of marketing. He is the head of Microsoft Game Studios. Okay, yeah,
Yeah.
I agree, Bree. I thought he was head of marketing. I was going to say, well, the head of marketing was saying that it wouldn't carry as much weight as someone who manages their studios, but Matt Booty does manage their studios, at least from an executive level. So yeah, that's no fun.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think I'm with you, Bree. Like, and again, it's their prerogative to do that. They have the finances to just funnel into whatever they think is going to help them gain ground or claw back ground. Whether that's just chucking money at developers to get pretty much everything they can on Game Pass,
Mm-hmm.
or rapid consolidation, which, buying Bethesda and now trying to buy ABK. They have the resources to do it, and I can't necessarily blame them for doing it. But it's like, again, I've said it last week even, it's just all becoming very transparent, and it's weird that some people are championing this solely just because it's a air quotes win for Xbox. It's like you kind of have to view this on a grander scale, get the bigger perspective on it. You can still be glad that Xbox finally get a bit of a W, sure, but it's like you have to take that in context with everything else surrounding it. You can't cherry pick that out and solely focus on it because it has much bigger implications.
Yeah. And I think that like I don't know. I get like wanting to be competitive. I understand the sentiment of like them wanting to put each other out of business, but to literally
Mhm.
like say we're going to spend you out of business. I don't know, that again, that just feels like so different to me. And I think that like if it really, and I don't think it, like I'm not saying it will, but I'm saying like if this really truly were to happen, the games industry wouldn't be better for it. Like
No,
getting rid of Xbox, getting rid of PlayStation, like the games industry isn't going to be better for one of those things happening. So like, yeah, be competitive, but why would you really actually want to get rid of both those people? Like out of the games industry,
yeah,
Or like, I don't know. Silly.
Yeah, not good. I don't think
I
even
love
if you're
that Nintendo's just like over there.
yeah,
Just
we'll get
like,
into it a
yeah,
bit later, but there were arguments that were made that Nintendo is not a part of the same market, which I think
I
is
agree.
it's both correct and incorrect statement. Nintendo makes video game hardware and
Hmm.
video game software for the common consumer. They definitely meet the qualifications to be considered a competitor for Microsoft and Sony.
Yeah, they're just doing their own thing. Yeah.
However, Nintendo's modus operandi, I'll call it, is very different from the others. Their console isn't as powerful. They rely almost exclusively, no pun intended, on their exclusive software to pump sales,
Hmm.
and they're catering to their expanded age audience. a younger age audience. So
it's weird that, isn't it?
Yeah.
That both Sony and Nintendo seem to be, thriving based off of first party and third party exclusive deals. And, Microsoft is supposedly saying that it's just incapable of doing that. It's weird.
Yeah,
But the other
it
two are
is
doing
really
it so
weird.
well. And Microsoft is saying that it's just impossible for them to do the
Sam.
same. It's just strange.
Yakuza Like a Dragon was one of the best launch titles of all time, right? And that was a 6-month exclusive of the Xbox Series X. Don't forget that.
I'm not forgetting it. That's just fueling my point. It's like, it's not as if Xbox aren't doing the same things. It's just that they, for some reason, aren't doing it as much. And that doesn't make them any better. It's like, these deals are a part of business. It's just how the industry works.
It's just really funny to me how like the Switch is. I'm guilty of it too. The Switch is a souped up mobile phone that is the market leader.
Mm-hmm.
And like,
I love my Switch so much.
I'm buying Pikmin 1+2. I'm buying Mario Wonder. Might be buying Mario RPG. All right,
Mm-hmm.
I'm there. I'm gonna be playing Tears of the Kingdom. It's like I still play. Yeah.
It's weird. If you give your dev teams the time and the support, they put out good games that help you shift hardware. It's strange, isn't it? Yeah.
I mean, Microsoft's own studios have done that well with Playground.
Have they though?
Playground.
Have they though?
I said with that thing. These studios I'm about to name in particular, with the Coalition Playground, right, have been excellent in that.
Sure, but if we're also talking about anything else they've done, it's either pile drive the flagship franchise into the ground and sort of tainted it, or tainted a newly acquired studio. So it's like,
Hey, not Avowed. I mean, not Obsidian, I don't think. I think Outer Wilds and Avowed were solid. Or an Avowed will be solid. Pentiment was
but again,
from Obsidian,
that's a
and that was
hypothetical.
great. Pentiment was great. That was from Obsidian.
Sure.
Yeah.
But in terms of like big blockbuster stuff, the stuff that actually the mainstream care about, I'm not sure Pentiment is a selling point for.
I'm going to make the argument the mainstream cares more about third-party games than first-party games.
Absolutely.
But you said what the mainstream actually cares about is first-party.
No, I mean big blockbusters.
As
compared to something like Pentiment. Like Pentiment was a success,
I see what you're saying.
Yes, but it's a very niche game.
Okay, yeah. We'll get into it later.
Same as like Hi-Fi Rush, right? Hi-Fi Rush was great.
I need to play that.
But it's got relatively small appeal overall.
I want to play Crackdown, the original Crackdown, and I can't play it on PC.
Yeah, they did a good job with Crackdown 3, right?
So I need to get an Xbox Series X so I can play the original Crackdown from 2007.
Yeah. That's the whole point of the Xbox, right? It's just to play old games because you don't get any new ones.
Sam, you are doing some major console wars right now.
I kind of like it.
Wow.
No, it's all in jest, but it's like,
All right.
I think Xbox Microsoft are trying very, very hard to portray themselves in a way that is just factually incorrect. Which again, I don't blame them for doing so, but it's like, we're all as bad as each other in here. It's not like Microsoft is some saint that needs to, get this win to actually have a chance, because the reality is that Microsoft are doing incredibly well. It's just that they, for some reason, aren't. They have the money to go and make third-party deals or outbid Sony, but I don't know why they aren't.
In the interest of time, I don't think we can go through all these other things I listed here in detail, so I might just start going rapid fire.
I think we should, and we can stop as we need.
Yeah. I might skip a couple of these.
I mean, you can just say them.
Microsoft
only takes a few seconds.
Microsoft is thinking about sacrificing the Series X for long-term ambition in the cloud, for xCloud. And I think that makes sense when it comes to Microsoft. Again, they're They're a service. They're a service and subscription. They're a service business, not a hardware business. So I see that making sense. And there was also a quote that Phil Spencer said, I believe, where he made an analogy to Polaroid, saying in an email, a business email for their mobile gaming strategy, saying, first, we're exactly like Polaroid. We're core gaming, which isn't growing. It's TAM or TAM, which is an analogy to film photographers, while mobile gaming is growing at a significant rate, like digital photography was growing. So I guess I'm not super tuned into Polaroids, but I think what he's saying is that he thinks if Microsoft keeps focusing on what he calls core gaming at your console or PC, and doesn't go all in on mobile gaming, that they will lose to the new technology and be burned for that. They need to keep up with the mobile gaming sphere and invest heavily in it. So that's a bit interesting. I'm surprised. I wasn't expecting the amount of emphasis Microsoft is putting on mobile gaming. I feel like it expands more to like a Game Pass app on your TV. This more of the when I think more of the cloud when I think more of a cloud than I do mobile gaming. But it seems like Spencer's they're really tuned in on it.
Well, it's because it's a cash cow, right?
It is a huge cash cow. I just hope I don't have to play games on my phone to play the new video games I want to play.
43 exclusive to mobile.
But I think that's me being a doomer. I think as long as you at least have a PC, there will always be the option to play games on a dedicated piece of hardware for it. Well, you could argue PC isn't dedicated gaming hardware, so maybe I should strike that analogy down. It's hardware that can play games. That's you get what I'm saying, though. But I don't think Nintendo's going mobile.
They are mobile.
Well, actually, you're right. The Switch is a mobile gaming device. Bree, you got me. Well, then you could say any handheld is a mobile gaming device, but I really think Phil is referring to smartphones.
Yeah, but they do also have smartphone games.
Yeah, they do. Mario Run, Hey Pikmin, Fire Emblem Heroes, Mario Kart Tour. Yeah.
Okay, next one.
Yeah, this one's about Jimmy Ryan and his. No, never mind.
So June 27th. So I'm just gonna kind of go through these. So Jim doesn't think cloud gaming will catch on until 2025. Man, I just don't like cloud gaming. Anyways, Xbox
I think
sales.
that's optimistic at best. Like in 2 years' time, you think that the infrastructure will be there for cloud gaming?
Because, well, I mean, the infrastructure problem is mostly to do with internet, not technology, right?
In very developed countries, it might catch on. There's a lot of global markets that cloud gaming simply will not reach effectively because their infrastructure for internet is nowhere as good as your richest countries in the world.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, next one. Xbox sales exceeded PlayStation 5 sales for 3 months in 2021. Publishers hate Game Pass, according to him. It's a very obvious thing. Like, this doesn't have to be like even according to him. Like, why wouldn't they hate Game Pass?
Whoa, really? Bree, I'm going to push back on this. There's a lot of indie devs that have come out saying they've liked putting their games on Game Pass.
Indie devs, yes, that wouldn't have gotten the audience otherwise. But all of these major publishers that are just like basically being funneled into Game Pass.
I don't know if they're being funneled. It's voluntary.
Not all of them.
Yeah.
You think Starfield is being voluntarily?
No. When I'm talking about third-party publishers.
Xbox always has the prerogative that if they can get a game on Game Pass, they will. And like, I know I'm generalizing, but in terms of the Xbox audience, they have kind of been conditioned to expect new titles that come to Xbox to be on Game Pass. And if they're not,
that's me.
They're Pavloved.
A not insignificant portion of the Xbox audience that I would wager would not pick up a game or start playing it because it isn't on Game Pass, because they'll just have the mentality, "I'll wait until it is."
Mhm.
So
I'm pretty sure I've heard Kevin say that.
and I think I've even said it, like, when we've talked about this before. Like, I think really what Game Pass should be is a third party and indie hive, where, like you say, Bree, all the indie devs can get as much exposure as they want. It's a great way to get discovered, potentially even, could lead to an acquisition from Xbox for a small studio, and they can drop the day and date for first party, not that they ever will. I think that's the best course of action. I'm kind of in between. I don't think every publisher is going to hate Game Pass, but I think the majority of them, if they have the choice, would choose not Game Pass, which you could argue equates to disliking / hating Game Pass.
I have an article here that maybe I'm cherry picking, but the Sport Interactive, the studio who makes Football Manager, a subsidiary of Sega, says Game Pass has resulted in great success for their franchise. Now, granted,
Who would have played that
they aren't
otherwise?
quite indie, but they are a smaller studio.
It's not even about indie. Like, literally, who would, like, I mean, the thing is like, the audience for that game is already so small, like, let alone the people that downloaded it just because it was free. Like, who's
And
going to
also,
pay for that game?
like, the statistics that get lost here is that they say, oh, well, we've had tons more engagement, more players coming to our game. But because of the nature of Game Pass, so many players will jump in to try out a game because they can, and then 5 minutes later bounce out. Is that counted as a player? Like, do they quantify by hours played, concurrent play? Like, what is the statistic by which we're measuring this in terms of exposure for the devs? And obviously they can all see that dev side, but we aren't knowing what they mean when they say that they've found great successes. Are you just saying that because you've seen X amount of players actually launch the game but not stick around with it? Like, we get lost in the minutia there. There's no way of us knowing that.
Okay.
Right. So, I guess there isn't. I just like Game Pass for me as the consumer.
Yeah, I mean, there's no argument there whatsoever. It's great for the consumer, but I would argue in every other avenue, maybe not. But hey,
I think we're gonna have
Time
to
will
have
tell.
these influencer boxing matches. Sam, I think we're gonna have you fight Kevin.
yeah, I'm down.
Oh my God, Extra Life, the Octagon.
Never say never.
Well, okay, Octagon is mixed martial arts. The ring, like the square ring, that's boxing.
Yeah.
The mat is wrestling. We could do
Have all three. Why not?
all three. Okay.
Jim Ryan's email with former Sony Computer Entertainment CEO Chris Deering after the ABK deal was announced. What is this? It doesn't list anything.
Yeah, that's my fault.
Quote, it's not an Xbox exclusivity play at all. They're thinking bigger than that, and they have the cash to make moves like this. I've spent a fair amount of time with both Phil Spencer and Bobby Kotick over the past day, and I'm pretty sure we will continue to see Call of Duty on PlayStation for many years to come. Deering replied, this deal would cement Microsoft as a player in mobile games. It strikes me as more of a King play than Call of Duty. Ryan did not disagree.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Go ahead. Any other?
No. It's just
yeah.
Like, it makes perfect sense. Like what Taylor was just talking about Xbox focusing on mobile. It's like, yeah, they would want King because King makes absurd amounts of money. I can't remember what the exact valuation increase was.
It's nuts.
It was insane.
It went from like 5 billion to like 50 billion.
It was just something crazy like that. Yeah.
So
yeah, I think it was millions, but yeah, it was. Or wait, was it billions?
Hold on. I think the mobile market is B with B billions.
I'm pretty sure it went.
You don't understand the amount of Karens in their Candy Crush.
Yeah, exactly. So, and also it's like, it isn't a Call of Duty deal. It's being framed as that because I think it's the easiest thing for courts to understand, and I think easiest to, I'm generalizing, but get people on Microsoft's side here.
Yeah, you're right. It was they agreed to pay $5.9 billion and then it's gone up to like 50 billion.
Wait, they acquired for 5.9, and after the
Yeah.
acquisition, their net worth evaluation has gone to 50.
Yep.
Wow.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay, ready? Next. Okay.
Okay.
Jim Ryan's statement on Starfield exclusivity. I don't like it, but I don't view it as anti-competitive.
Yeah.
No,
Sony
that's
was
fine.
not alarmed by the 80K deal until August 2022. This was in relation to some emails that were going back and forth, and they were like, hey, these are the terms. And then Microsoft was like kind of like dodging the question kind of thing. Sony is wary of sharing PlayStation 6 info, but also delaying shipment of PlayStation 5 dev kits? ?
Yeah, I think one might want to talk more a little about that one, Bree.
Go ahead.
I understand, but I think we should back up a few just as Starfield exclusivity. I want to say I'm a little surprised Ryan said I don't view it as anti-competitive, but also he was under oath, so he really had to be
Yeah.
honest at risk of perjury. And Ryan wasn't actually there in court. He recorded a disposition that was then shown as a video for a little over an hour in the courtroom in person. That included this question about Starfield. Yeah, and as we know now, Sony was in talks to make Starfield exclusive before the Bethesda acquisition, and that was a big trigger for it. So, yeah.
And also, like, I'll say on record, I have no issue with any new IP from any Xbox internal studio, particularly Bethesda in this statement. I don't have any issue with new IP being exclusive. It's their prerogative to do that. The issue then comes, which is the argument that Sony has been making, is like supposedly every ZeniMax game is like, well, now you're artificially inflating the worth of your platform to consumers by restricting, it's like, I think there's a big difference. Starfield exclusivity I don't have an issue with, but it's if a consumer bought a console, say the PlayStation 5 or anything else, under the illusion that they could play, as they historically have, any Bethesda Game Studios or Arcane or id game, and now they can't, you've stripped something from the consumer and forcing them into an additional purchasing decision, which I think is where some of the arguments are coming from.
Gotcha. And the quote for the Minecraft dev kit delay was, Sony said the development kits allows developers to have visibility and to work on the feature set that our new console will deploy. It would typically mean a developer may bring its content to the new platform later than would otherwise be the case. The commercial risks associated with the knowledge of these feature sets leaking to our principal competitor is not something we rely on any contract to enforce. That's what Sony's stance was on delaying PS5 dev kits to Microsoft for Minecraft. I still think Microsoft would be able to get their hands on dev kits anyway. They have enough money. They'd be able to find one. I don't really agree.
But that is very different to just handing them dev kits.
Right. It is. But I thought that was a bit weird for Sony.
Because if, for example, they take your approach and Xbox had to actively go and search it out, even if they succeeded in that, realistically, Sony would likely be able to plug whatever hole that leak came out of.
But the other thing is that, like, so dev kits have, like, each dev kit has their own unique number, right? So Sony knows where all of their dev kits are at all times, right?
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm not a game dev.
So I've literally seen the PlayStation 5 like dev kit because because in like interacting with like the master's students that were developing games for the PlayStation 5 like way back, like during college era, like I've been around these dev kits before. Like, you have to go through this huge application process. You have to tell them exactly where the dev kit is going to be. It cannot leave that spot. You have it for a certain period of time, and then you like have to return it. Like, they keep track of these very, very closely. They're numbered. They know, again, exactly where they are. Like, it's not like these dev kits just like are running around in the wild. And if like somebody were to lose that dev kit, like they would know exactly who lost that dev kit, right?
Yeah.
So,
And I think the main issue here is that regardless of whether Xbox had to actively seek out and like steal, quote unquote, a dev kit, or whether they were given them by PlayStation,
mhm.
Sony don't want to give away that proprietary information before the launch of a new console,
Mhm.
because in the hands of their competitor, which it would be regardless of whether the dev kits actually went to Mojang or Activision or whoever, you would still be giving information about the upcoming new features of a console to your competitor, who could then implement those same features on their console, so that a potential USP for your new console is now replicated on the competitors, and there's less of an inclination for consumers at the point of their release to purchase your console over theirs. It gets into a potato thing, because really, how much difference is there on the grand scheme of things? But you know, we see it now with Xbox having to sort of play catch up in terms of like the haptic feedback and adaptive triggers thing.
Mhm.
You know, as soon as that came out at PS5's launch and it was received well from PS5 players, Xbox sent out a survey and were like, so would you Xbox players be interested in something similar to over there? And now they're working on a controller that has those features. Sony would be at a major disadvantage if Xbox had that information way ahead of
Mhm.
those consoles coming out.
Mhm.
So it makes perfect sense to me. Like, if I was Sony, I wouldn't do that either. Even if it meant by proxy having a inferior version of a game or not having the game at all. Because I think that proprietary information is technically more valuable to them than any one
it's way more
title.
valuable.
Yeah.
Way more damaging. Yep.
On to the next. Oh, Game Pass, everyone, according to Jim Ryan, is value destructive. This kind of correlates to the other thing about him saying that publishers dislike Game Pass. This may be a hot take. I agree with him. And it depends on how literally you take that statement. If you take the statement literally, no, because Microsoft still pay the dev or the publisher for the right to put it on Game Pass. They still get, you know, the subsidiaries or whatever the term is. They get paid. And obviously it's great value for consumers. But I think at its core, and it's not necessarily exactly what Jim Ryan said, but what I take that away from that statement saying that Game Pass is value destructive, I may catch heat for saying this. I think that there is a mentality within a lot of Xbox players or people that own Game Pass and have for a long time, because why wouldn't you? I think there is a mentality that they don't value games. Like that, you see it a lot, and it's a lot of console war people, granted, but you see them saying like, oh, well, you know, Horizon Forbidden West is $70 and God of War Ragnarok is $70. All of you Sony shills like spending $70 for every single game you get. We get them for free. And I think a neural pathway that links off of that is the idea that the game that those games that we, the Sony players, are paying for don't warrant that purchase price, and that the Xbox community are entitled to get these games of whatever quality, whatever double, AAA, third party, first party, whatever, free on Game Pass. And obviously there are still plenty of people on Xbox that like paying for their games. I'm not saying that they don't exist, but I think just by the mere existence of Game Pass and its ethos as a subscription service, I think you'll find a lot of Xbox people that just are never going to be willing to pay $70 for a game, even if they have the capacity to.
I won't.
Yeah.
That's me. I'm not.
I mean, the thing
I'm
is
just
And
it
not
again,
gonna do it.
you're not wrong for thinking that.
Because I also get Game Pass at a discounted rate currently. So it's
Precisely.
like I
You
could
have
spend if I
Xbox
spend
Game-
if I get 2 full price games,
Mhm.
like I said, I've just exceeded how much I've paid for in Game Pass for the next
Precisely.
year. It just for
Yep.
me it just wouldn't make financial sense.
It,
I could,
mean,
it just still makes for me more sense to to go the Game Pass route.
yeah, it doesn't make financial sense to not like, even if like, for example, like you just want to play one game on Game Pass, you're like, I'm just in and out for this one game. It's going to be cheaper to just pay for Game Pass for that 1 month because you're not locked into like any kind of contract, right?
Mhm.
So you pay for it for that 1 month and then you're out and you saved yourself like what, $50-$60 like.
Yeah.
So
Also, people who have Game Pass while they have an active subscription get discounted rates for buying games that are on the Game Pass service.
Yep.
yeah,
So if
I
you
don't know.
say,
I think
yeah, sorry.
Sorry, Brie.
no, I was just gonna say, like, I think that like that $70 that like we spend towards like these other games, I think it's being circulated back into the gaming ecosystem, and I think that
Precisely.
it's like it's feeding into getting better games, right? So that's why we're seeing like all of these PlayStation games being turned into film franchises, TV franchises. Like we're seeing,
And
like
even
we're
just on
seeing
a
this
base
payoff.
level being
Mhm.
of a very high quality,
Mhm.
because each one is successively funding and helping to maintain the quality of the next.
Yep.
To a degree, obviously.
Mhm.
And it's like I think where people get lost is if you take the Game Pass mentality and put it into any other industry on this planet, it does not work. Because people say, "Oh well,
What about
Game
streaming
Pass, you spend
services
what?"
for movies
I
and
want to play.
music?
I want to pay
Yeah,
$10
yeah,
for all my groceries.
yeah. People are willing to go to a movie theater and spend what
The
$20,
ticket,
$30
yeah,
on
total.
the
The
whole
tickets are
thing. So you
about
buy tickets, you buy all the
concessions that are
snacks and stuff.
overpriced,
Yeah,
but that's how they make movie theaters make most of their money. Actually, is concessions.
precisely.
Yeah.
And you get what maximum like 3.5 if it's a really long film hours of entertainment from it. And there are plenty of people, dozens, the majority of people are willing to do that. Not
I go
necessarily
like
on a
once
super
every
frequent
other
basis,
week.
but still. And yet, for some reason, there is a fall off in the logic. There's a hurdle that people are unwilling to jump where you find a game that is 60 hours worth of entertainment and you are unwilling to, because
Mhm.
I'm going to say it, $70 is a steal for the types of games that we're getting nowadays.
Yep.
Most of the time it's ridiculous value still. Obviously nothing compared to Game Pass,
Mhm.
but $70 if you are talking about a high quality game that lasts you even 20 hours, which would be considered short nowadays.
Well, it's about like the value, right? Like in terms of like, think about how many man hours went into making this game and how much they're paying, because game devs may not be the best paid industry, but there are a lot of devs that make well over 100K a year. And there's multiples of those devs at each studio, right? So you're paying $70 for 5 years of like a whole team of people's work.
Yeah.
Wait, we also don't. All right, it's not like it just
it's a
goes
lot.
back to the devs.
No,
Goes
it
back to
doesn't.
Sony
Sure.
first and then delineate it. And also the price increase from 60 to 70 does not necessarily, that extra $10 does not necessarily come back to the devs either. So
Right,
there's
but that's like
No.
a whole separate thing, right? We're just saying like in terms of like
you're saying at a high level.
cycling the money into the industry.
And relating it back to Game Pass, Xbox has completely disincentivized players from even doing that in the first place, of spending the money that then gets funneled back to the devs. Obviously, that is somewhat made up by the Game Pass subs.
Microsoft also delineates a lot of their revenue from their other revenue streams of Office 365, Azure,
Sure.
other Microsoft services back into Xbox for that. Like Microsoft, if Microsoft wasn't as big of an a technological juggernaut as it was, they wouldn't have been able to take a loss on Game Pass for as many years as they have.
Right. But the other thing is that you have to remember is that there are games that go like that are like, hey, it'll be available on Game Pass day one that aren't just an Xbox game, right? So
Yeah.
if you have both Xbox and PlayStation, why would you even buy it on the PlayStation ecosystem when you can have it for what you're already paying for on the Xbox ecosystem?
Yeah, I
So
wouldn't.
it's also pulling funds away from PlayStation.
I mean, yeah, that happens to me. Like, I was thinking about getting Neon White on Steam or PlayStation. It's coming to Xbox, not getting that.
Mhm.
Sea of Stars, not buying that either. It's coming to Game Pass. Like, I could start going down the list. There are a lot of games that I was interested in looking at that I'm just going to get through Game Pass.
Yep.
And I think that there are many players that are
Hellblade
just
2.
completely ingrained in that mentality. And I just don't think that that is, as the expectations surrounding what games need to be nowadays, and the budgets are ballooning and the quality is having to maintain such a high quality in terms of expectation and standards. I just don't know that Game Pass, in terms of what it, even though it's the best deal in gaming, because it is, I just don't know that it will, in the, even if it's the long run, is going to be sustainable in terms of making games, the products that they are, seem worthy of financial investment of any degree from players on an individual level, devoid of a subscription service where you get everything. I think that is where I agree. Again, like I said at the very top, you can take it at a very base level and disagree with it. But I think if you actually view things on the wider scale, there is at the very least merit to the concerns that Jim Ryan has presented.
Yeah. Well, I don't think. Sorry.
Go ahead.
Bree?
No, go ahead.
No, you go.
I was going to steer the conversation a little bit, so go ahead.
For timing, this will
Yep,
probably be
that's what I was.
a long episode, and I probably have to get off here soon because this never happens, but it does today. There's an urgent work item that on a Sunday afternoon I have to attend a meeting for.
Excuses.
So I'll have to bounce soon, unfortunately.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. Is like I also have like I'm in as a host, so like if you do need to jump, like it won't ruin the recording as long as you don't hit end stream.
I'm not gonna hit end stream.
I'm gonna repeat that again just in case. As long as you don't hit end stream, since that has now happened twice.
End stream, do it.
Yeah, it happened twice. I'm just thinking if there's
Twice.
anything I want to mention here before I dip out for
take the stage.
The rest of the show. Bobby Kotick. Actually, I don't care what Bobby Kotick says because he sexually assaults women. Let's see. Horizon Forbidden West and TLU 2 were both over $200 million in dev costs each. In terms of, actually, here's something I want to mention in terms of the value of Call of Duty. 1 million players on PlayStation play nothing but Call of Duty, and COD represents more than $800 million in revenue for PlayStation in the United States alone. For gaming, I just wanted to mention this for gaming enthusiasts in our group who don't play Call of Duty.
I don't.
Sometimes it's hard. Sometimes we lose grasp of the magnitude of the mainstream gravity that Call of Duty has. Yeah. It is the game to play for the random person on the street who says they have played video games in the United States. It is that big. And I just wanted to make sure people remember that before I leave.
Yeah.
And speaking of Call of Duty, Black Ops Cold War is now on PlayStation Plus Essential. Speaking after Bobby Kotick said he didn't like subscription services. I thought that was funny. But I think that's what I'll say before I sign off. And Satya Nadella might be deceivingly handsome man. And that's what I'm going to leave off for. All right. I have to get to this meeting, but you guys got the rest of the show. Thank you all.
Bye, Taylor.
Talk to you later. Bye.
See you, Taylor.
Oh my God, he didn't end stream. I was so sure he was going to do it again.
Just for the banter. just.
Oh my God. Okay. All right, we touched that one. NVIDIA's testimony. I am not familiar on this one. We also heard from NVIDIA's Jeff Fisher briefly. Have you kept track of that one at all? This is one I haven't even heard of, kind of.
I'm scanning the. Okay, I've got it. NVIDIA's Phil Eisler, who leads the GeForce Now team, appeared in a pre-recorded deposition video. He called him NVIDIA as a witness in a 9-minute video. Microsoft had previously kept its own games off GeForce Now to not compete with xCloud, but the Xbox maker signed an important deal with NVIDIA earlier this year. Eisler said, quote, "We found over time that we get closer and closer to the quality of playing locally. Our cloud gaming servers are more powerful, so we're able to run higher frame rates and add more visual effects. We had a number of Activision games on the service at beta, and then when asked by the FTC, did Activision agree to make these games available? Eisler said, we worked with a contact at Blizzard. They were supportive of games being available during beta." I think what the sentiment of it being included here is getting at is that Xbox, or Microsoft, I should say, are basically stopping at nothing to make this deal happen. The concessions are increasing by the day, because the whole shebang, which people are forgetting, is that at the beginning of this, they weren't willing to make any of these concessions. Like they are only doing this to make themselves appear more, I don't know, industry friendly, I guess is the saying. I don't know if that's right. Yeah, I just like I don't really care about NVIDIA's GeForce Now service thing, because I don't play on PC, but yeah, it's odd. Hello?
Oh, I muted myself. Sorry.
No.
I play on PC and I don't care, even though I think I do have NVIDIA. I'm pretty sure I do. Let me look.
Sorry, there is one thing I've
Experience,
literally just
I do.
spotted whilst scrolling through here. In a March 2021 email exchange with Xbox chief Phil Spencer, Xbox Game Studios head Matt Booty recommended that all of Bethesda's games be pulled from NVIDIA's GeForce Now service shortly after Microsoft acquisition of Bethesda. So I think, again, it's just like the flip-flopping in terms of what most benefits Microsoft, which, again, their prerogative to do it. But I think
it does kind of make them
portraying
feel
Microsoft
like,
as some white knight in this situation is just incorrect.
I don't know.
whichever
They
way
just
you
kind
put
of feel like it just feels like so like almost like snake-like. Do you know what
it.
I
It is-
mean?
They
Where
are
it's
they
like,
are snake oil salesmen.
ugh,
The stuff that they are
gross.
trying to convince the court of is just not true.
Mhm.
Them saying, "Oh well,
the
yeah,
thing is
we'll
like,
make an agreement to keep Call of Duty, and other Activision titles will be multi-platform." Sure.
I mean, here's my question though: is the court even going to be able to like actually tell though? Not being like part of the industry. I know that they're like receiving testimony and stuff like that, but it still feels like unless you are in the gaming industry, it would be so hard to. Do you know what I mean? I don't know.
I think that's why it's taking so long.
Yeah.
From everything I've read about the judge, it's that the judge like legitimately basically has no idea what they're talking about, but she's trying her best to understand. And yeah, it's again why it's so important to be so thorough with this, because not only is it so on a scale, on a magnitude that we have not even seen anything close to before in terms of how industry shaking / redefining it's going to be, and the fact that it's permanent. Like, what if this is put through? It is permanent. It cannot be undone.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's that as well, that everything surrounding this is so nebulous. It's so ambiguous, and Xbox aren't helping the situation, because why would they? Why would they say something that would then be legally binding and pin them into something that might not be beneficial to them in the future?
Mm-hmm.
They want to keep things as grey as possible, and by doing that, which is again, completely understandable. There are so many questions that have to be asked that just likely won't ever get answers until we are beyond this and we just have to deal with whatever the consequences of those questions are.
Mm-hmm. Woo, fun times. Okay, next one.
Sure.
It's D, so still your letter.
Is Call of Duty an essential game? I think that's relatively self-explanatory.
Yeah.
Does PlayStation need Call of Duty? Yes and no.
Literally, no. If you're being very, very, very literal, no.
Exactly. Is PlayStation going to wither and die without specifically Call of Duty? No. But I think, like we've said, considering the scale of Call of Duty in terms of its not only widespread appeal, but just in terms of like public awareness, even outside of the gaming space, if you ask somebody to name a video game that has nothing to do with gaming, they will probably, within the first like 3 games that they can mention, I guarantee one of them will be Call of Duty, even if they've never played one in their life, because it's just everybody knows about Call of Duty.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone knows about it.
Mm-hmm.
So I think even though the game itself not being on PlayStation isn't that big of a deal, I think when you talk about a prospective customer looking to purchase a console, if the matter of the fact is, and I know that Xbox are trying to convince you that Call of Duty won't go exclusive, but after that 10-year deal is up, you can bet your ass they are going to make that exclusive.
Mm-hmm.
If the prospect is, oh, this console has Call of Duty and the other one doesn't, I'll get the one that does. Because again, like
there
Taylor
are people
said,
that just play Call of Duty.
Yeah. Exactly. And most consumers care more about third-party stuff than first-party. Now, technically, if Xbox owned Activision, it would be a first-party game, but you get my gist.
Mm-hmm.
People might not necessarily care about the God of Wars and Horizons and Last of Us's, but they do care about Call of Duty.
Yep. Okay. Next piece here. So we're now moving to June 28th. We know this is running long. I'll try and hurry. Kotick says Microsoft isn't currently interested in Game Pass. What does that?
Yeah, he just said that he doesn't want to put Activision games on Game Pass.
Oh,
which is interesting because, like you're trying to sell your company to Microsoft, which is exactly what they would do. So you're saying that you wouldn't like what your prospective buyer is going to do to your IP. It's like, what the fuck are you doing?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. It was so confusing there for a second. Thank you. Okay. Errors in redaction. Sony's budget for Horizon Forbidden West and The Last of Us 2 were $200 million each, as Taylor had said.
Not surprising.
1 million. No. 1 million PlayStation players play nothing but Call of Duty. More redaction errors. Call of Duty represents 800 million in PlayStation's revenue for the US alone.
Jesus Christ.
Nvidia is mad Xbox dismissed cloud gaming.
Again, it's like Microsoft are trying to paint it as all flowers and rainbows, and it's just not. Like it's just not true. Even if they are now being buddy and saying, "Oh no, don't worry, we'll bring all the games to your services." Like again, whether it's Matt Booty saying that they're going to spend Sony out of the business, or him saying, "Oh, we want Bethesda games off of Nvidia GeForce," some people are spinning it as like, "Oh, well, those comments were years ago." You do realize that those statements are evergreen. Like, just because it's a couple of years later and they are having to take a slightly different approach to win a court case doesn't mean that those internal emails, don't forget, aren't still happening.
Yeah.
It's like Booty isn't a changed man in 4 years. If anything, he's probably become more brazen because in that time they've acquired Bethesda and are now this close to getting arguably one of the biggest publishers in the industry. Just like, what? I don't get it. Stop saying it was in 2019. That doesn't matter. He said it. Those sentiments, to whatever degree, still exist. I guarantee you.
Absolutely. Absolutely they do. Okay, next piece.
June 28th and June 29th. Satya Nadella, who is the something of Microsoft CEO, something maybe. I don't know.
Find it.
I'm too. I can't be bothered to look it up.
Microsoft
he's an important
CEO.
dude. That's what I said. I thought I was right. I knew it.
Yep, you just knew it.
He has a take on exclusives. Quote: "If it was up to me, I would love to get rid of the entire exclusives on consoles. But that's not for me to define, especially as a low share player in the console market. The dominant player there, Sony, has defined market competition using exclusives. So that's the world we live in. I have no love for that world." Sorry, Bree, do you?
Yeah,
do
absolutely.
you smell that?
Yeah, absolutely.
The most pungent BS I've ever smelled in my entire life. And what's that?
It's
What's that?
so funny.
The faint aroma of hypocrisy. That's what are you talking about? That's exactly what every other console in your existence in the market, every other console that you have has been run off of the idea of exclusives. Halo is a thing.
Yeah, it exists.
Gears of War is a thing.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what they are?
No. I love when your microphone disconnects, especially at dramatic moments. They are exclusives, yeah. Anyway. Yeah, I think like in terms of this statement, I can barely hear you.
Am I back?
Yep, there we go.
Yeah.
It's so crazy how easy of a fix that is.
Point, and I push my microphone, forgetting that of course that wire is very precarious. Yeah, Halo and Gears of War, just to name two, are exclusives. So that is what made the Xbox 360 so great, because of their third party. That's a problem that they have now, isn't it? They have a problem with making third party exclusive deals. Why is that? Oh yeah, because they're third place. But if they were first place, they don't have an issue with it. And the solution to solving those third party exclusives, which you could technically still do with that publisher if you offer them enough money, is to just buy the publisher, because that's obviously the easiest workaround, isn't it?
Throw money at things. Yeah, that's usually how I resolve my issues.
Yeah. And again, just the fact that nobody is really picking that apart. They're just taking it as his quote at face value and being like, yeah, well, I guess Satya really would get rid of exclusives if he could.
Dude, okay. But also,
you could literally do that. He has the capacity to do that.
Yeah, he literally does.
And he doesn't. And then blaming Sony for it.
They started it.
Halo is arguably the first big exclusive.
Yeah.
Because before the original Xbox, they didn't have a competitor for PlayStation. So anything on the PlayStation 1 isn't even an argument, because they weren't in competition.
They're kind of in competition with like Sega and Nintendo.
Yeah, but I mean, in terms of the Microsoft.
Yeah.
Like until the first Xbox released, they weren't in competition with PlayStation.
Yeah, that's true.
And Halo was an exclusive for the first Xbox. And it was therefore arguably the biggest, the first big exclusive in the console space as we know it today.
Yup.
God damn it.
I also just think it's so funny that they're like the dominant player. That got me.
That was
like,
you 2 console generations ago, and Sony now
This-
are doing exactly what you did 2 console generations ago.
it just feels like they're trying to like do the whole like roll on their belly, like they're trying to expose their belly kind of thing. They're like, look, I'm innocent, I'm cute.
They're doing the Puss in Boots
I
eyes.
just yeah, I know, it's crazy. It's crazy that people are falling for it. It's just like comical to me.
Not even necessarily falling for it, because I don't doubt that there is an element of truth to what he's saying, but the fact that they aren't critical at all of what's being said. Like, you can choose to
Yeah.
believe what he's saying, sure, but the fact that you don't have the mental capacity to even partially dissect these statements,
Mm-hmm.
considering what Microsoft stand to gain and or lose,
Mm-hmm.
blows my mind.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Okay, let's see here. Oh wait, it's your turn still. Never mind. Go ahead.
Nadella commits to having COD on PlayStation. I'm sure he does, but then as soon as that 10-year deal is over, he is yoinking that away.
We'll keep it on PlayStation 5. Like 10 years in the future, they're still developing for PlayStation.
Again, how nobody can even temporarily entertain the idea that he is wording things very specifically for a reason.
He was just talking.
I'm sure he was, Bree. I'm sure he was. You know, let's give this $1 billion CEO the benefit of the doubt. You know, I'm sure he's being genuine in the court. You know, it's fine. It's fine. Sega says they're currently not open for acquisition.
They're like, no, thank you.
Again, they're saying very specifically not now. Do you know what that is? Keeping the door open.
Yeah,
and you
because
think that Sega are capable of keeping the door open, but Microsoft aren't, by the way that they phrase things. That's interesting.
Yeah. Okay, moving on to June 29th, with more fun stuff. So the CMA failed to block Microsoft's ABK appeal. Phil Spencer wishes Bethesda content would become all exclusive. Nintendo impacted Xbox Series S pricing. And then the Xbox Oil Company and a mobile future is what this last point says. I think that they're referencing like moving into mobile gaming, but
yeah.
Anything to say here?
Nothing that hasn't already sort of been iterated on. It's like, again, internal sentiment being very, very, very different to what they are trying to publicly present to you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's just upsetting.
Yeah, for sure. June 30th is
not only because I love Bethesda games, but like that the evidence is there that Phil said it. So it's like you can't even refute it.
Yeah.
So you're saying, oh well, now your strategy's changed. It's like, well, which are we supposed to believe? Why should we
he's
just
had a
believe what you're saying
huge
now?
change of heart. He's just a different person now.
He's just a great guy, you know?
That's what's so funny about this is that like I can't even say, because like in my opinion, a lot of this stuff doesn't necessarily reflect who these people are as actual human beings, and more of just like who they are as business people, right? Because this is all just business talk. Like that's all what all of this is. So it's like people are trying to put these human elements, you know, into what they're saying, and there's no human elements in what they're saying. It's all business. Like
a courtroom is like the most robotic thing. Nothing is, even if you're speaking under oath and whatnot, everything is so specifically tailored and curated.
Yep.
So it's like, to believe that anything you're seeing is surface level genuine is being horrifically ignorant, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm. Okay. June 30th?
The closing arguments were being made on June 30th, one of which was, would we be here if Sony had a deal with Microsoft?
That's a good question.
Probably yes, still. I think so. I think just because the magnitude of the deal, of the acquisition, is still warranting at least the discussion of concerns of consolidation.
I would agree.
But there would be less argumentative points in the court case for sure if a deal had been agreed on between the two parties. Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
Apparently, a very basic question has the judge confused. Question being, all of this is for a shooter video game?
Oh no.
Because that's what it is, right, Bree? That's what it is.
That's exactly what we're talking about.
This is just Call of Duty we're talking about, right? That's all that's going to happen if they put this through. It's just Call of Duty.
Oh my god.
Ignoring every single Blizzard IP, ignoring everything King in the mobile space, you know. No, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. So it's all just for a shooter game.
It is.
Yeah. Again,
There's nothing else.
It's genius. It's genius of Microsoft to make this such a big deal just about Call of Duty, because then so much in the grand scheme of things gets swept under the rug. That really should arguably be the biggest concern and the biggest talking point here. But alas. The FTC are arguing that it's not the harm to Sony that is the issue, it's harm to consumers in general. Because again, I think people are automatically assuming that the FTC is on Sony's side, and that's just not true. I guess in the sense that they are against Microsoft making the acquisition. Technically, you could then say they are on the side of everyone else. But I even think then that's being too general.
Yeah, I don't think they care.
No,
they just care about the acquisition.
Independent organization that views the industry as a whole. They are not backing one specific team or another. And I think whatever way you spin it, this deal would be harming to consumers. Not necessarily to every consumer, but to certain consumers, absolutely. And considering, like we've said throughout this, the amount of people that play Call of Duty, not just on PlayStation, but in general,
it's a lot.
There is a lot of consumers that are going to be harmed.
Yeah. I mean, the other thing is that it's not that, like, it's not like they're going to, like, ABK isn't going out of business, and so Microsoft is helping them, right?
Precisely.
Microsoft just wants to own them.
Same with Bethesda.
I think that's like a completely different, like, beast of, like, they're not going out of business. They're doing just fine. They don't need help. So, like, isn't it okay to just let them be?
Yeah. Yeah. And then finally, we wouldn't be here if Microsoft made Call of Duty. So this is a quote from the judge. The judge said, we wouldn't be here if Microsoft made Call of Duty. It's the purchasing right. We don't benefit from just buying up each other. We benefit from keeping things separate and therefore incentivizing people to create themselves. Microsoft rebutted that by saying, quote, that's not true. We want smaller groups to create content, right? And the fact that someone purchased, and they're not small anymore, Activision, they produce popular content and someone else wants to buy it to distribute it, and then someone else wants to make more content. And that's the art that's going on, whether it's movies, gaming, television. No one says if you don't have this one game or this one television program or movie, you can't compete.
God. Okay, wait. This is like, Activision-Blizzard-King is so huge, you guys. Like
saying we wouldn't be here if Microsoft made Call of Duty, but they don't. They don't make Call of Duty. So
they don't, and it also has nothing to do with Call of Duty.
The statement you're making is a moot point. We wouldn't be here if Microsoft made Call of Duty. Yeah, you're right, but they don't make Call of Duty, so that's the reason we're here. I don't get why even bringing that up. If Call of Duty was an internal game from a first-party studio and had been that way since its inception, there wouldn't be an issue, because you wouldn't have the conflict of, again, harming consumers by severely and just fundamentally denying them choice. But we are there. That is what this acquisition would ultimately lead to.
These what if worlds are nice, right?
Yeah. And saying like, oh, well, if somebody doesn't have this one game or this one television program or movie, you can't compete. Technically, you're right. But that, again, is woefully underrepresenting the significance of Call of Duty in the gaming space in general. Like, yes, it's just one game. But do you know how big that one game is?
It's pretty
and
small.
how many people play it? Yeah, it's just tiny. Less. Do you want to know a real fact, Bree?
Yes, I do.
Less people play Call of Duty than play Grounded. You know. So I don't know what this whole hullabaloo was about.
You know what? Also, just like I don't know why, like, my brain just didn't connect this. Like, obviously I knew this whole acquisition, but they would also be purchasing World of Warcraft.
Yep. Diablo, Overwatch.
Yeah, I mean, World of Warcraft though has just been around for so long, and it's so huge. Yep. Like, that in itself is a whole other discussion. Anyways, I don't know why my brain just didn't, like, I understood like all of the other ones, like Diablo, like Overwatch, like all of them like connected in my brain, but for some reason like World of Warcraft like never connected. So I just had that realization like 3 minutes ago. I was like, whoa, wait. Okay.
And again, that's like completely discounting the literal like close to 100, if not more, IP that Activision has in its library. Just like, it's not just like Activision make Call of Duty, Blizzard make World of Warcraft, King make Candy Crush. It's not just like that's it for the big IP.
It is.
Each of those divisions within ABK has so many things within it.
Yeah, this is bad. All right.
But it's just about Call of Duty, guys.
It is. It is just about Call of Duty. That's all we care about. We're Call of Duty bots here. I've never played Call of Duty.
I need to hit my head against a wall or something.
I've literally never played Call of Duty, so what can you do?
Well, now you never can.
I never can. Oh no, except for I have a PC.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's on Game Pass.
Because
it's not worth $70.
When I tell you, like, I'm bad at games. If you want to see me be really bad at games, like shockingly so, first-person shooters. I am so bad at first-person shooters that I literally, one of my friends was like, Brenda, what are you aiming at? It's like, I'm trying to hit them. Anyways.
Just the corner of a dark room.
Yeah.
I'm getting them, guys.
Really
I'm getting them, I promise.
I'm really bad at first-person shooters. So yeah, you won't catch me playing Call of Duty, but oh well. We have no control over this, so all we can do is talk about it. Yeah, I love just courts making decisions like this. It's great.
The one thing, sorry.
Go ahead.
I might have said it last week, but I can't remember if I did, so I want to say it now, so I know that I've said it. With this whole thing, because it does look like the judge is probably going to weigh in Microsoft's favor, right? Not guaranteed. Like, the FTC did make some good arguments, and the judge agreed with some of them. But I think that ultimately, Microsoft probably made it a mission of truth or not. I hope that in the coming years, when Sony decides to buy a publisher, Square Enix or otherwise, that people across the yard, whether it's actual people working at Xbox or Xbox fans, regardless, don't kick up a fuss.
They're going to.
Because they can. I mean, I know they're going to. They can't.
This isn't easy.
They can't. Like, the level of hypocrisy that will be present there is ridiculous. Because, you know, people have said it like, oh, well, you know, Xbox bought Bethesda, but Sony have bought Bungie. It's like, Bungie isn't a publisher.
Mm-hmm. Those are
Bungie
two
is a very
wildly
large
different.
dev, granted, a very large dev with very, very, very good expertise in specific things, hence why they paid so much for them. But they aren't a publisher. And even if you buy the biggest dev on the world, that is still a very different thing to buying a publisher.
Mm-hmm.
So Sony haven't done that yet. Xbox are now have practically done it twice within 5 years without bearing fruits from the first one. So they haven't proven themselves. It's all unproven that they can actually make Bethesda work, because we've gotten Redfall. And we know how that went. Starfield looks promising, but still, we don't know yet for certain.
Mm-hmm.
So Sony are going to have to do it in response if they want, again, talking about being competitive, if they want to be competitive at all, they are going to have to, because Xbox have upped the ante in terms of what being in the gaming space is going to have to be.
Yeah, I really hope that they get FromSoft and Square Enix. Those are the two that I'm like, please.
Well, I mean, I can't remember who it was that posted it, but I saw a post on Twitter that posted like the market caps of many of the big publishers and devs that are still third party or independent, I guess is what you say. And one of them was Kadokawa.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it was valued at like somewhere in like the 3 to 5 billion. I'm like, Sony can do that. Sony can easily do that.
Yeah,
you know,
Kadokawa
if you
is
pay
huge.
3 billion for Bungie, it's not like FromSoft ain't going to be worth it. They've invested in FromSoft already.
Mm-hmm. And then we can get more Bloodborne.
Be still my beating heart.
Okay.
But if we're realistic, it's going to be Square, to be honest.
Yeah.
Which is fine.
It's fine. Sense. I just don't want I just literally don't want Microsoft to buy From Software, because we've seen what they've done with their acquisitions. Please, I just need FromSoft to survive. Please. Okay.
I prefer them to stay independent than be acquired by anyone.
I would agree with that.
If they have to be acquired by someone,
Sony, please.
Well, they've done a PlayStation exclusive before, and it's literally one of the best games ever made. So, you know.
Please. Okay. Do we have anything else to say about this before we?
No, we probably go. You know.
Okay.
Kept people far too long.
Thanks everybody for listening, especially if you made it to this point. Hello. Leave a comment below or in the Discord that just says I made it to the end. I survived the ramblings. Okay. So thank you guys so much for listening. You can find us on YouTube at Save the Game Media, and rest in peace Twitter, Save Game Media on Twitter. Don't forget to check out our Discord. We've just had a bunch of people jumping into our Discord with Twitter slowly burning to the ground. So coming out in our Discord, we'd love to have you. Don't forget about our Patreon. We would love to have you as a patron. 1,000 patrons gets Kevin butt tattoo. I'm very passionate about this. Please, more patrons. Where can people find you, Sam?
People can find me. Oh God, I'm still going to say it. People can find me on Twitter. Currently, for potentially the very short future, at Sam Heaney. That is Heaney.
Beautiful. You can find me at Fabulous Brianna, FABULIST BREANNA, and that's like most places. That's like Instagram, Twitter, rest in peace. You can find me on TikTok. I don't know, whatever. We will. Oh, and you can find Taylor in the Discord. We'll let you guys go, but have a lovely week, and we'll chat with you next week. Bye.
See ya.